Hello everyone. I hope all of you are having a healthy time at home, following the rules of social distancing. So, together we can reduce the spread of COVID 19. In this video, I intend to give you an introduction to the first chapter of biology, that is, reproduction in organisms. Reproduction is one of the general characteristics of all living organisms, and it is the process in which an organism gives rise to its offsprings, which are similar to the parents. And reproduction enables the continuity of the species. There is a large diversity in the biological world. So, different organisms have evolved different mechanisms or methods to reproduce. So, we can group reproduction into asexual and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, a single individual parent is capable of producing its offsprings, which are genetically similar to the parents. So they are called as clones, genetically similar to the parents. The offsprings formed are exact copies of the parents, so we call them as the clones. The asexual reproduction is normally seen in the lower organisms, especially the protists, monerans, and you will find in fungi and some of the lower plants. The asexual reproduction are of different groups. Fission is one of the asexual reproduction, where the single cell divides into two equal uh, sorry divides into two offsprings which are similar to the parents, which are copies of the parent, the clones. And in them, in single cellular organisms, the cell division itself is the reproduction. And the fission can be divided again into subgroups, like the fission can be binary fission in case of amoeba, where the single cell divides into two. In any plane, it is possible for the amoeba. So that is binary fission. Now, the binary fission is uh, can be simple binary fission, that is in the case of amoeba. Then, in case of euglena, it is longitudinal binary fission, lengthwise it is. And the third kind is the transverse binary fission, which you will find in case of paramecium. And you will find multiple fission also in certain organisms, like the malarial parasite Plasmodium, where the single cell divides into many copies of it is formed. So thereby multiple fission is also a kind of fission, a kind of asexual reproduction. Now, the second kind of sexual reproduction is a budding, formation of a bud from the parent body, parent cell. You will find budding in case of yeast, which is a fungi, which is a fungus, and the budding can be of two types depending on the place where the buds are formed. In case of yeast and hydra, the bud is formed externally, so exogenous budding. And in case of sponges, the buds are formed inside the body itself, which are called as gemmules. So this kind of budding is called endogenous budding. So budding is of two types, exogenous and endogenous budding. Now the third kind of asexual reproduction is spore formation, which mostly we will find in groups of fungi. Zoospores are asexually reproducing spores. These are flagellated spores produced. Then sporangiospores, you will find them in rhizopus. So many spores are formed from hypha. Then you have conidia and the conidiospores in same fungi, penicillium, for example. Then the fourth kind of asexual reproduction is fragmentation, which you will find in Hydra, planaria type of organisms. Here, the body of the organism may be cut into pieces, so each piece will grow into an individual organism. Then, asexual reproduction takes place in plants, the lower grades of plants. But in case of plants, we call the asexual reproduction as vegetative propagation, because the plant parts are used for reproduction. For example, roots are used, stems are used. So these kind of plant parts which are used for asexual reproduction, we call them as the vegetative propagules. So it is called as vegetative propagation in plants. The vegetative propagation is done through the runners, then rhizome, suckers, tubers, offset, bulb. Then some cases leaves are also used as vegetative propagules. You will find examples for each of these. The vegetative propagation or asexual reproduction by roots is happening in dahlia. Then carrots also you will find the propagation through the roots. Then there are the rhizomes, which are actually the underground stems which are used in storage of food materials, like rhizome, the ginger and turmeric are examples. Then corn, colocasia. Then underground stem tubers, the potato. So here these can be used in vegetative reproduction. Then there are subaerial stems of plants like the runners, suckers, stolons, offsets. All these are the plant parts which are subaerial stems. In case of runners, for example, the grass, they have the nodes, and the node, when it is in contact with soft, moist soil, the roots start growing from there, and that will become there the shoot part also start growing, and it becomes another plant. So similarly, in case of mm, the stolons, offsets, this way we can have the vegetative propagation. And in vegetative reproduction, in case of bryophylla, there the leaves are used, and the margins of the leaves start growing adventitious roots, and then it becomes the shoot. Another plant can be grown from the margin of the leaf, bryophylla. Then we have the bulbs which are used in vegetative reproduction. Example is onion bulb, which is used in reproduction. So different plants do have different methods of vegetative propagation. Here the plant parts are used, so vegetative propagules are used in plants for asexual reproduction. And the next topic is about sexual reproduction, which I'll continue in the next video.